Is Mayock on the phone?
Mike Mayock's on the
Mike, how
phone.
do I evaluate my producer, Chris Law, when he says something like that? What grade do I get? Do I downgrade him? Do I have to go back to the tape to evaluate him? What do I do there, Mike? What do you think?
I'm in a vacuum. I don't even know what you're talking about.
And by vacuum, you mean Oregon Pro Day, correct?
Yeah, I'm on my way over there as soon as you and I finish.
So I don't know if you heard the latest in Philadelphia that DeMarco Murray is winging his way there and has the intent to sign with the Philadelphia Eagles, who traded away LaShawn McCoy, as Chip Kelly said in the press conference yesterday, mostly in part due to the amount of money that he was scheduled to make, and they were unwilling to do that, or unable to eventually do what needs to be, or what Buffalo was able to do. What do you make of what's happening in Philadelphia with the Foles for Bradford trade, all of it, Mike?
I'm kind of fascinated by Chip Kelly and all his machinations, and I think the rest of the league is too, Rich. I mean, I've been traveling around the pro days all week. I was at UCLA and USC, and so I'm with all 32 teams. Mm-hmm. And the conversation has been all about Philadelphia and Chip Kelly, and I think people are fascinated to see how this thing works out over time. I mean, my take on it is most of his moves so far have been about salary cap. LaShawn McCoy, whatever it is, $11 million. In his mind, that was too much money. I was surprised that he let Trent Cole go. But in his mind, Trent Cole is making too much money for 6.5 sacks. So Chip doesn't really care what anybody thinks. He's going to go out and remake this football team in the image he wants.
Well, and you know it's a quarterback-driven league more than anything else. And the one quarterback that he is handpicking ever since he got there, Vic and Foles were Reed's guys. Sanchez he signed just in case Foles couldn't make it through a full season. I know they drafted Matt Barkley, but that was, you know, back in the day. Those aren't his people. The first one that's his people is Sam Bradford, and a lot of folks in Philadelphia have an issue wrapping their arms around it. How does this fit in your mind, Bradford and the Kelly offense, Mike?
I think there's a misperception nationally about what Chip's, quote, spread offense is. And I don't think Chip likes to have all the, quote, spread offenses put under one umbrella. For instance, his spread offense at Oregon was a lot different than the Baylor spread offense. They're completely different. And if you heard his press conference the other day and in some of his comments, he talked about Sam Bradford at Oklahoma coming out of a, quote, spread offense. So I think in his mind, his offense can do whatever he wants it to do. It can be tweaked to allow a quarterback to run the ball more, or it can be tweaked for a drop-back quarterback like Sam Bradford. And, you know, let's face it, Foles wasn't a running quarterback, so I think in his mind, he's got a quarterback that upgrades their pass potential as long as he stays healthy, and that is the big question.
Mike Mayock will be part of NFL Network's Path to the Draft coverage of Oregon's Pro Day starting at 4 Eastern Time live on NFL Network, and Mike kind enough to phone into the Rich Eisen Show right now. What do you expect to see from Marcus Mariota in front of all the scouts at his Pro Day today, Mike?
I'm a big believer you've got to see a quarterback throw the ball live, not just on tape. So even though we saw him, Rich, at the Combine, this gives me a chance to stand basically right next to him and watch the ball come out of his hand. And quite frankly, I don't think it means anything other than I expect to see a quarterback that's a high-level kid with great feet and a live arm, and that's all I want to see.
And the Titans are scheduled to privately work him out afterwards, from what you're hearing, from what we're all hearing, Mike? Is that true?
I have no idea. I've not even gotten over there yet.
Gotcha.
The Titans were at USC yesterday working out Leonard Williams, and, you know, I think he is a potential look for them at number 2. So, you know, it's really intriguing. Everybody's still trying to line their boards up.
How did Leonard Williams look to you at USC's Pro Day?
A lot like I expect Mariota today. I mean, the Pro Days are just about confirming things, and Leonard Williams looked great. He was worked out personally by one of the defensive coaches from the Tennessee Titans. You know, he's as good a football player. He's probably the top football player in this draft.
So if you had to just rank guys, not by position, not by anything else, would Leonard Williams be at the top, number 1 player available on the draft board?
I probably have Leonard Williams 1 and Dante Fowler 2. And I was on the plane last night kind of running through a top 50, just messing around in my book. And, the quarterbacks weren't 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, 6. I mean, there's some questions on these quarterbacks, Rich.
So what is your question in regards to Winston now as we're sitting here? Let's go over it, because, again, everybody believes that the Bucs have written the card out right now, and the next 2 months essentially mean nothing, or next, 6 weeks. What are you still looking at the tape of Winston and scared of the interceptions from what you were saying, Mike, or is it still off the field with him?
The bigger issue with me is off the field, and I told you before, I'm mad at myself with the way I talked myself into Johnny Manziel last year off the field. Oh, he's just a little bit immature. He'll grow up, despite repeated off-the-field issues. And with Winston, it's repeated off-the-field issues. And is he on his best behavior? Yes. Is he doing all the right things and going to meet with the commissioner? And he's doing it all. But at the end of the day, after they pay him, whoever pays him a bunch of money, what are you getting for the next 4 or 5 years? That's what I want to know.
That's the thing that I heard at the Combine from an evaluator is that, every stallion that plays in the NFL, figurative stallion, needs to be figuratively broken at some point. Broken down and built back up again. And after winning the Heisman Trophy and a national championship as a freshman and then not losing a football game until this year's Rose Bowl, Winston hasn't been broken. And he needs to be, in order to be built up to be a franchise face. Would you agree with that assessment, Mike?
I don't know about stallions and breaking them. I'm probably not smart enough for that, Rich. And I don't mean that. I just, all I know is that when a kid has repeated off-the-field issues, somebody who I think is an outstanding evaluator, several outstanding evaluators in the NFL have told me that the huge percentage of those kids go back to be who they were growing up. Very few end up being able to change who they are and stay true to that for the rest of their NFL career.
Mike Mayock joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So who has, in the first week and a half of pro days, who has, I guess, improved his stock the most, Mike?
The pro day thing, Rich, is again, I think it's fun to talk about, but I don't think they're improving their stock dramatically. I think what happens is, I'm reading about Dorial Green-Beckham. I wasn't there yesterday, obviously, because I was at USC, but supposedly he ran well, caught the ball well, got in and out of routes well. So he's another guy that's a boom or bust guy. So, you start looking at Randy Gregory at Nebraska at his pro day and Green Beckham. There are two boom or bust guys, a little bit in my mind like a Jameis Winston. They're three of the most electrifying talents in this class, but you trust them off the field.
Has Beasley surpassed Gregory or Fowler as the top edge rusher? Has he still checked the boxes that he checked off in Indianapolis, Mike?
I've got him right now as my third edge rusher. I've got Fowler 1, Shane Ray 2, Beasley 3. Randy Gregory's was 235 pounds at the combine, and again has some of those issues off the field. So that's my order right now. And I think the UCLA kid Odighizuwa, I watched him work out Tuesday at UCLA, and John Pagano, the defensive coordinator of San Diego, put him through some linebacker drills along with Michael Barrow from Seattle. And the kid actually moves better than people thought at 267 pounds. So I think he's helping himself, too.
And lastly, Mike, you mentioned UCLA Pro Day. We had Jim Mora on in the last hour, and I brought it up with him. Your choice of shorts, Mike, for the NFL Network coverage at that Pro Day, some might term it a red flag. Just evaluating your choice of haberdashery that day, Mike. Where did those shorts come from?
I'm just trying to collectively liberate the NFL analysts and kind of open up our world of haberdashery so that we don't all have to just wear suits.
You're trailblazing, is what you're saying.
what I'm really saying, it was 80 degrees, and it was freaking gorgeous, and it was the only clean pair of shorts I had left.
Listen, Mike, I got to tell you, after sitting next to you and having you drop the Sugar Hill Gang, I don't know what to expect of or from you anymore, and I think that's a good thing. I'm not going to downgrade anything or evaluate anything other than just you being you, and I'm learning more. I'm learning more about you, Mike.
I'm not sure how to respond to that, but all I know is it's always good chatting with you, Rich.
You're the best, Mike. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's incredibly busy. You're the best at what you do, so thanks for calling in.
All right, pal. Talk to you later.
We'll talk with you down the road. That's Mike Mayock right there on The Rich Eisen Show.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.